In July and August this year, I played a whole bunch of new board games, and I'd like to take you folks through that list and tell you what I think. Hiya folks, welcome back to Birds on Board, your home of board gaming excellence. My name's Pigeon, and today I'd like to take you through my top 10 new board games I've played within July and August this year. Now, I've done one of these lists before where I had my top 10 most played games, and that was quite well received. You folks seem to like it. I enjoyed making it. The problem with doing that sort of list monthly, my most played games, is that you're going to see repeats on the list. There are games that I really enjoy. There are games that I whip out any chance I get when I have friends over. And I didn't want to bore you folks with having the same games on the lists over and over again. So I thought, let me switch it up and let's do my top 10 new games I've played. So that's where it's new, fresh to me. It's new to you as well, hopefully, on the channel at least. And then I have something new to talk about, and I have new things to show you folks every month. The next problem that arises is that now I don't play enough new board games in a month-to-month basis. So the list is like my favorite 3, which is pointless for the YouTube algorithm. So I decided, let me do a combination of July and August, collate all the games I've played, and yeah, listen for you. These are the new games I played. So what I have for you is 10 board games that I have never played before July. I've played them since then. I'll give you my thoughts on them, a quick summary. Now, I didn't only play new games this last 2 months. I have played a few other games that I've played before. And I thought, let me add those quickly to an honorable mention list and run through them lickety split. So let's get started. Honorable mentions, the games that I have played before, and then we're going to hop into the top 10 list. And I really hope you enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, please don't forget to add a like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. So next time I go live or you see one of these lists, you'll be the first to know. Anyway, let's hop into it. Enough waffling. So let's get into the honorable mention list. I will run through these as quick as possible. These are the games that I have played before July. So to kick things off, we have Wormspan. Now, Wormspan is the successor to Wingspan. That fella up there. And very similar. They are very similar concepts, but they've added a bit more to it. So you can think of it like Wingspan Plus. Instead of birds, there are dragons. That's a major change. And you have to go through these caves and excavate them, which you don't have to do in Wingspan. And once the cave is excavated, you can put a dragon in there. You can also go explore the caves with your little man. And the little man will go through, and the more dragons you have in the cave, the more benefits you get. So you want to excavate those caves so you can get dragons in there. So when you explore, you get a whole bunch of points. One of the nice changes that I really enjoy is that you also get these little silver dragon coins, and those are your action points, your actions you can spend in a turn. Now, what's nice about those is not only are there actions that you can do, they also count as a resource. So you can actually use those to play a rather powerful dragon and thereby lose a turn. But because it's a resource, you can also gain more of them. I might have 10 turns this round versus your 4. They've also added a guild track. So as you play the game, you're running around this guild, getting resources, and every so often you can also add an end of game bonus yourself. Next up on the list, we have Forest Shuffle. So Forest Shuffle is very nice. I really wanted to go more deeply into it with you folks, but we'll set that for another day. Forest Shuffle, you are in this forest and you see this clearing. There's a whole bunch of animals and plants and birds and bugs and funguses. Fungi. I'm a fun guy. So you see all this forest nature occurring. And what you want to do is you want to play down a tree, and a tree is kind of a home base, as it were. And then you can pop creatures or animals or insects or what have you to the side of the tree, to the left or right, or above or below it. You're trying to build the best forest. The weird thing is, in most games, there's a separate resource that you use to pay for playing cards. In this game, you play with your hand, which is quite new to me. So I might have a hand of 5 cards, and I have a whole bunch of big major plans for the cards in my hand. But to play this wild boar, I might have to discard 3 cards, and those are 3 cards out of my hand, which means now there goes my plans. Where you put these cards is in the clearing, which is kind of an open draw pile for everyone. So you could hope that by the time it gets back to you, those cards are still there and you can grab it again. But the opponents might grab it. The Forest Shuffle is very fun. I really enjoyed it. Next up, we have Heat, Pedal to the Metal. I've spoken about Heat many times. There it is. Heat, one of my favorite games. I stream it when possible. I play it when possible. And Yeah, go watch other videos on it. I've made quite a few. I've live streamed. Please, hey, come join the live stream. It's always fun. A quick summary is that Heat is a deck management game. You are racing around the track. It's a racing game, but you are trying to make sure that you don't go too fast, which sounds weird. It's a race. You want to go super, super fast, right? Not in Heat, because corners approach quite quickly. You want to slow down for the corners so you don't spin out. But at the same time, you want to know when to push it. Use your heat that you have in your engine, use that exhausted so you can actually push a bit faster through a corner and maybe slip ahead of the opponents. It's such a fun game. And there are so many components, and AI and a solo variant is great. Love it. Looking forward to getting the expansion as well. Next up, we have Under Falling Skies. Under Falling Skies, I've played a load. It is a I don't know if you guys can see it. It's over there. Under Falling Skies is a solo only game. So it's not 1 to 5 players with a one player mode. It is one player. That is it. It's made for solo experience. And it's very fun. It's Space Invaders, the game. These alien invaders are coming down to destroy whatever city you've chosen. Each city has a certain pro or con to it. You try to defend it with dice rolls. You throw your dice, and these dice are your workers for the round. And there's a bit of a catch. Higher the dice, the more powerful the room you place it in is. However, if I put a 6 die in a certain room, that room is going to give 6 power. It's going to be nice and strong. But if any alien is within that column, that alien is going to come down 6 spaces. So I can go big, but the aliens go big. It's a nice balancing act where I'd like to do big, amazing, astounding things, but I know then the aliens are going to drop quite a lot. So I really have to decide, where do I play these cubes so I can get what I need and still shoot down the aliens before they get to my town. Great game, really enjoyed. Next up on the list, we have Betrayal at House on the Hill. Woo! Betrayal at House on the Hill is a co-op game, and at least initially. You and a few buddies are exploring this house. You each have different characters with strengths and weaknesses, and you're slowly exploring and uncovering rooms upstairs, downstairs, in the ladies' chamber. Hiya, folks. Editor Pigeon here. I just wanted to apologize for the goosey goosey gander joke. I thought it'd be funny, and obviously, it's not. Massive apologies, and going forward, I will do better with my humor. Thanks so much. Upstairs in the basement and on the ground floor. And you're uncovering this room slowly but surely. And every so often might get an item. Ooh, you might get a gun or a knife, or you might get a dog. You might get a grenade or a rocket launcher. You're getting these items, these weapons to make you stronger. You're also getting magical items like a music box or a voodoo doll or some crazy stuff. However, another thing you could uncover is a omen. And when these omens happen, you have to do a haunt check. And there's a certain limit to when you've uncovered so many omens that the haunt happens. And at that point, you look at the layout of the board, you look at who's playing and which characters you have, you look into this index, and it tells you exactly what haunt to start. And there's a whole bunch of them. It will then say player A is the bad guy, player A will go off with his book. All the survivors now read their book, and now when they come back, the game switches. It is not co-op anymore. It is now us versus the betrayer, right? And here's the fun part. The betrayer has a lot more info at this point. The betrayer knows what's actually happened, where the survivors now have to figure out what's going on and at the same time try and survive or try and escape or try and get rid of that betrayer. It's a very fun game. I do, however, feel that it gets more exciting once the haunt happens. Before that, you're kind of just exploring slowly but surely, hoping to get the best items. But once the haunt happens, it kicks it up again. Really enjoyed. Second last, we have Ambition. Ambition is a social deduction game, but your role changes every turn and it's up to you. So it's kind of a mix between, I would say, Citadels and something like Resistance. You pick a role and you want to try and suss out what the other players, what they have chosen, and then figure out ways to get rid of them. You win the game by getting 10 coins, 10 gold. There's many ways to get it, but as you going up, you become a target. So people are now trying to guess your role and trying to figure out what your move would be. So a lot of the times you're actually taking the least optimal way to get gold coins, because you know that's what I would do if I wanted to win. So everyone's going to assume you're doing that and then knock you down. So you have to go the route less traveled, kind of be wacky. And the problem is everyone's trying to do this. Everyone's trying to be out there, not do the most obvious thing. Yeah, very fun game. Very quick as well. Nice and quick. You can get a game up and running. Ambition. And then last but not least, on the honorable mentions, we have Spirit Island, my favorite game. Always play it any chance I get. I doubt that will ever be a month where I haven't played Spirit Island. I will make a quick mention that I was able to play the expansions. One of my buddies from a board game meetup brought the expansions. I think they brought Jagged Earth and I think Feather and Flame, I think it was called. Anyway, very great. I got to test out a couple new spirits and I really like it. Quick summary: Spirit Island is a cooperative game. You can play solo, which is how I usually play. You are on this island and needing to defend it from invaders. And the invaders are controlled by a deck that you flip over every turn. And they start by exploring, then building, then ravaging the island. And you have to take your spirit, this incarnation of nature, and defend the island and its local inhabitants by playing power cards, by pushing out your presence across the island and trying to fight back these invaders. What's nice is you can win in multiple ways. One of the ways you can win is by getting the invaders so scared of all the powerful magic you're casting, all the natural disasters you're casting, and by slaying their allies that they end up just running away in fear. Or you can just go all out and bash them till there's no one left to invade. Spirit Island, my favorite game. So first on our list, number 10 is Happy Little Dinosaurs. It's the first time I played this game. I played it a few times, not just once. It's made by Unstable Games, and you might know that company from Unstable Unicorns, and it has a very similar feel. It's a very similar sort of game. It's a card game. You play with a bunch of folks. You play as these dinosaurs who are just having the worst luck, and you're trying to survive the apocalypse. And the way you win is you collect items, and you play those items, which can either attack one of the dinosaur's three stats. Each dinosaur has a different base stat. The game has a catch-up mechanic where if you have had a few disasters occur to you, you get an extra space to move. But what I don't like is that you can be targeted. It's one of these games where if I play a gotcha card, take this, you target an opponent, and you could actually take an opponent out of the game, which I'm not a fan of. It's a fun little game, quick one to maybe start out a night, or to introduce newer players to modern war games. It really is a game just to relax and have fun. It's not a big game, but it's not something I would buy personally. It's not my sort of game. It's too luck based. I felt a lot of times there was nothing I could do, and if the players chose so, they could have just ended me in round 2 or 3, which happened after I won the first game. The second round, they just said, "Let's get rid of old Pigeon. We don't need him here," and they got rid of me. So, Happy Little Dinosaurs from Unstable Games, number 10. So next up on the list at number 9 is Arcs. No, it's not Arcs. It is Fort. It's also by Leader Games, and it's quite fun. It is a deck building game. So in Fort, you're trying to build up your repertoire of the local kids in the neighborhood, your friends, right? And you do this by enticing them into your yard, and then they are your powers, your cards to play. And each kid has a different ability, has a different suit, and can combo with other kids. So you're trying to get the kids that work well together to come to your yard, so you have a stronger deck, and then you can win with the most points. The problem is, at the end of your turn, any kids in your hand that you don't play end up going to the yard, and the yard is then where other players might be able to steal them, which isn't great. I didn't like that aspect of it. I didn't like this feeling where I was building this great deck with lots of combos and I had nice ideas in mind. If I didn't draw the right hand and I couldn't play all my cards, I would lose some of the cards that I've tried so hard to get into my deck. So I didn't like that aspect of it. I did enjoy it. I did also play with the Cats and Dogs expansion, which I really enjoyed. Dogs are like one-time big benefits that if you play just the right amount of cards, you could get this dog. But if you don't, the dog's going to wander over to another player's garden and then they have a chance to win them. Cats, on the other hand, are like roaming passives. They sit around the gardens, and if you do something the cat likes, like maybe, I don't know, you fill your garden with mice, I don't know, a bad example, but if you do something, if you meet the cat's criteria, it will wander over to your garden, which might be great or it might be terrible. Some cats have bad effects, some cats have good effects. But that's Fort. Really enjoyed it. I don't think I would buy it personally. Personally, I'm not a fan of the art direction. It's a good looking game. It's just not my favorite. And I don't like the fact that it's a deck building game where my deck is constantly under threat of being stolen from me. That is Fort. So number 8 on our list is a game called Shifting Stones. It is a logic puzzle, I guess. It is, you have this 3x3 grid, so 9 stones. These stones can be flipped, so they have each side has a corresponding other side, and they're different colors. So what you want to do is you want to arrange these stones in a way that matches pre-assigned formations in the cards that you have. So you want to meet these goals. You can either shift the stone along, swap it with this neighbor, or you can flip it. That's it. So shift or flip. To do one of these actions, you have to discard one of your hands, one of your goals. It's not like, here's 4 things I can do. Let me shift, 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 shift. There's one, shift, shift, shift. There's the other one. You have to decide, okay, with these cards in my hand, what's the optimal moves I can do to actually meet these goals. After that turn, the next player will go and they'll then look at the landscape and shift things around. So I'll give you why I like it and why I don't like it. Why I don't like it, and you would have noticed this before in previous videos, is that I like to plan things out. I like to look at the state or something and have this big overall, this is how I'm going to solve the puzzle. Now, shifting stones when playing multiplayer, I cannot do that. I thought I could. I really thought I'd be better at this game than I was, but I wasn't. I was actually quite terrible at the game. I still enjoyed it, but I was terrible. And the reason is, I feel, is that by the time it gets to me, the board has been shifted and flipped, and all the stones have been moved around so much that my grand plan that I cooked up is pointless. It doesn't even make sense anymore. I cannot get this card. It's impossible in this turn, which is very frustrating for me after I've been trying to figure out. I do try and after every player's turn, trying to adjust. Okay, well, I was going to do A, B, and C. I'll have to do X, Y, then B, C. That will work. But by the time it gets to my turn, after four other players have gone, it is a completely different landscape. There's no way I can do what I was planning to do. When the card's in my hand, I'm now trying in my turn to quickly figure out what the best way to play it is. And I feel guilty. Everyone else is looking at me like I'm some madman. Anyway, the good thing about it is there is a solo mode. And the solo mode, I think, will combat that because the only reason the stones will move is by my hands. So I think I might still get this game as a solo game that I could just whip out. It's a nice logic game, just sit and puzzle over the shapes and try and get the right patterns. I think it will play better for me. I haven't tried it solo yet, so don't quote me on that. Don't. If I spot the game on a sale, I'll get it and I'll tell you guys how it goes solo. But that's Shifting Stones. So number 7 on the list is quite a famous game. You guys must have said. I think it has such a nice box. It is called Dice Forge. In Dice Forge, you are trying to get enough more points than your opponents to win the game, and you do it by rolling dice. Right? Dice Forge, you roll dice. But that's dice. That's not Forge. What about Forge? Well, Forge is the following: in certain times in the game, you may go ahead to the market and purchase different sides of the dice, new improved sides of the dice. You then click out the sides you don't want of your starter dice, and you slowly start forging these very powerful dice that have higher odds to roll what you're wanting. And you have to decide what you're wanting. You might be going for a high score, or you might be going for high gold to purchase even more elaborate cards. It's quite a fun little game. I do like the fact that you get to click out the dice and put them back in. It makes you feel more, this is my set of dice, which you don't usually get with dice. In most games, you get given dice. These are your dice that everyone else has used over the years. This is a bit more unique. I'm making these dice from scratch, and I can craft them however I want. So I do like that aspect of me customizing these dice. They're nice and chunky. What I don't like is customizing the dice as well.
Huh?
Sometimes those dice are a bit fiddly to get the faces off. A couple of cases, the sides have flung out, and I saw them
Ouch!
nearly take someone's eye out. I'm sure it hasn't happened, but the possibility is there. Also, because it is dice rolling, I have had opportunities where I have crafted quite a good dice that has a 90% chance to roll the things I want, but they are still dice. So that 90% means there is a 10% I don't want. And if I'm unlucky, I'm going to be rolling those 10%. So it doesn't matter how good your dice are, if you still roll unlucky. There are ways to get around that by buying certain cards that allow you to slowly accumulate resources, not by using dice, but it is just something that irked me. So another great thing about this game is the insert. Wow, they have a brilliant insert. Everything fits perfectly. You get your player boards have little notches where you can put your cubes to track your points and gold and different resources, different shards. It is a beautiful looking game. I'll give it 10 out of 10 for looks. And yeah, I think it's a game that potentially I would be buying. I'm not sure if there's a solo mode. I think that might be the clincher. I enjoyed the game, but if it had a solo mode as well, it'll be an automatic buy for me. Dice Forge, great game. So number 6 on the list is a Spiel des Jahres nominee. It is in the footsteps of Darwin. And quick anecdote before I start. When this was brought to the games night to try out, I was very excited because I heard, oh, it's a Spiel des Jahres nominee, which means it's going to be good, it's going to be enjoyable. And they said it was Darwin. I mistakenly looked up the wrong Darwin board game because who thought there'd be two board games based on Darwin? So I looked up the incorrect Darwin board game, and it was a game called Darwin's Journey. And I'm sure it's a wonderful game. I haven't played it before. But I will tell you one big difference is that Darwin's Journey is a lot more complex. I watched so many how to play videos and read so many manuals, and I was really struggling to understand it. I'm sure once I got it to the board, I would have figured it out, but it was just, it was quite laborious to understand this game. And when I phoned the guy who was bringing the board game, I said,
Wow, I'm really from base.
and he sounded very confused. He says, why?
This game's so simple. It's these are the couple of things you can do. It seems quite easy.
And I felt even more embarrassed. I mean, geez, I honestly thought I was better than this, and now I'm being told that I can't even understand a simple board game. Anyway, figured out eventually I was looking at the wrong board game. I went to go get the rules for In the Footsteps of Darwin, and yes, it's a nice, simple board game. So in the Footsteps of Darwin, you are taking Darwin's ship around this island, and this tableau, this matrix of animals is there. And you may choose one of the animals within the column that your ship is facing. And once you get that animal, you move the number of spaces that animal was from your boat. So if you take the animal closest to the ship, you move the ship one space afterwards. If you take the animal furthest away, you move 3 steps. You're trying to build up a collection of either a certain type of animal or a whole collection of animals from the same area. You can also pick up these theory cards, which are like end of game scoring, and use those. You can collect these little tokens that allow you to move the ship either forward or back, so you can get the animal you want. Because a lot of times you want to get a certain animal, but the ship just isn't landing where you want it to. But it goes quite quickly. Once the ship makes, I think it was 4 rounds around, that's it. You get up all your score and you see who actually got the best collection of animals. It's a very fun game, very quick to teach. I quite enjoyed it. I can't imagine there being a solo mode. Maybe there was. I never tried or never read about one. But definitely something I consider for my collection. The fact that it was a Spiel des Jahres nominee means it's good for the whole family. And people are all agreeing that it's a good game. So that is Footsteps of Darwin, not Darwin's Journey. That's a different one. I'm sure it's great as well, but Footsteps of Darwin is a great game. Very simple, very easy, but has a lot of depth to it, I feel. Once you start getting down to the best collections you could make, I think that's quite interesting. Anyway, In the Footsteps of Darwin. Okay, now, so halfway through the list, number 5, we have another game that was a Spiel des Jahres nominee. This is Captain Flip. So Captain Flip is a very simple game. You only have 2 actions on your turn. On your turn, you put your hand into this bag and randomly draw a tile, right? You look at the one side of your tile. Your options are as follows. You can either place the tile as is on your board and try and get the most points out of that. Each tile has a different effect or ability. It might be bad if placed next to other folks. So you've got to decide, do I want this tile? Or you can flip the tile and then place it. Now, either way you see, you have to place it. So the options are you draw a tile, you place it, or you draw a tile, flip and place it. Now, here's the thing. I don't know what's on the other side of my tile once I draw it. It could be anything. So turning it over and placing it might be a worse option, even though what I've got in front of me isn't great. So you really got to decide, is it worth the risk? What you're doing is you're placing these crewmates onto this pirate ship or onto an island or whatever the board is. There's multiple different boards that give different playing experiences, and you're racing around with other opponents who are trying to get more score, more gold at the end of the game. It's very easy. It's very simple. Draw a tile, place it, draw a tile, flip and place it. That honestly is it. But there's quite a few tiles, and each tile has a different way that they can benefit you. There might be the swabby, which means that the more swabbies you have, the more points you have. There's one tile that if you put it near the top of the ship, you get more points. So you don't want to play that too early on. You want to actually hold it off and play it later. There are some tiles that when you play them allow you to flip other tiles that you have previously placed, which might be good if you've incorrectly flipped over a card, but might not be great if you haven't flipped over a tile before and you're hoping for something better and you flip it, then it's a bomb or something terrible. So very fun game, very, very quick. Only a couple times around is all you need. That is Captain Flip. So the next game on the list is quite a tricky one because it's a series. I played a game within a series for the first time, and I quite liked it. It was Exit the Game. So I have a copy of one of them up there, but I played one of the Exit games, and I quite enjoyed it. It's a one and done game. You play it once, and you get rid of it, right? The game I played, I enjoyed it. The one I bought, we'll have to see. I guess I'm excited to try, but I want to get a good group of friends before I do it. Exit the Game is pretty much escape room in a box. So you get the story very light of where you are and how you've come to be here with your friends, and you have to solve these puzzles to get out, to get to the next clue, and to get the next item, and to get the next hint that helps you solve a previous clue that made no sense before. And it's quite ingenious how they do this. I don't want to spoil too much, by the way. So if you haven't tried this yet, maybe I'm giving it a thumbs up. I really enjoyed it. Some of the things they make you do is they could expect you to tear up cards and lay them out in a different pattern, and that makes a letter, or hold the manual up to the light. One of the clues for us was actually not anything inside the box, but the box itself that the game came in. That stumped us for quite a while. But what's nice is you're all kind of talking, you're trying to figure out these puzzles together, and if you do get stuck, there are hints available. They allow you to do a one hint, another hint, and they even allow you to go to a full solution if you are stuck. We didn't really go for any solutions. We got the hint. I think we used 2 hints, and that was enough to get us to the end. But I quite enjoyed it. It's a great thing, I think, to do if you get a couple glasses of wine with some friends and do before dinner. It's great fun. I'm really excited about it. I was thinking about streaming the game I have, for folks live. But the problem is, if I sit there and scratch my head, it is going to be very boring if I'm just get stumped. And I'm also nervous you fanatics start shouting out the answers, which isn't fun for me. I want to solve it. I want to do it. But exit the game, the series. If you have played any, let me know. I don't know if they all stack up the same. At the bottom of each box is a little star rating that lets you know the difficulty of this one. I played a 3 out of 5. I bought myself a 2 out of 5. But yeah, let me know how it stacks. Let me know if you folks find that they all offer the same enjoyment of a game. I have spoken to one of the other gents at the board game meetup, and they mentioned that it won't be as enjoyable if you don't have the right group with you. They need to understand that this isn't a board game in the traditional sense. This is an escape room. It's a puzzle we're going to be solving, and then we throw it away and we say we solved it or we didn't. But that's Exit, the game, the series. Love it. Looking forward to playing that one on the shelf, and I'll let you folks know how it goes. So now we're in the top 3, and my third favorite game that is new to me in July and August was a game called Suburbia, which is pretty much SimCity, the board game. That's the best way to describe it, I feel. You're in charge of the city, and you want to get certain zones, residential, industrial, entertainment, commercial. You want to build up certain sectors in your town that meets these overall goals that you're gunning for. To buy new locations, there's a shared market, and this shared market has prices increasing. So something might come out that's quite expensive and you really want it, but you can't afford it. Every turn, this shared market gets adjusted, which means that things at higher end price wise will start lowering down and getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. But because it's a shared market, if you wait too long, one of their opponents is going to buy a great resource as you really want. They can also obviously see your town. So if opponents are building their town on their side of the map, and they can see what you're going for, they might get a tile just to burn it so you don't use it, because they know if you get that, you're going to get a lot of points. Game is very fun. I really enjoyed it. I like the little hex cubes. They feel nice and clicky to snap down. The map looks great if you build it up nicely, and you can see different formations, different segments for it. This is the residential area, and I'm going to put the industrial area over here a bit further away so it doesn't bother the folks at their homes. It is SimCity, the game, pretty much. Another great thing about this game is that the towns do interact. I might get some benefit every time an opponent builds a new commercial zone, or every time there's a new restaurant built, I might get some benefit. You want to be checking for those and make sure you get them nice and early on. No point in me saying every time someone builds a restaurant, I get some cash, when everyone has already built all the restaurants. There's no more restaurants in the world. What have I built this for then? What's also nice is that as the game goes on, new, more fancier sites get uncovered. So you start with one pile, level 1, and then level 2, level 3, and they get more extravagant and do more things and cost more, but you should be generating more money, so you can afford them at least. It's a really fun game, and I really enjoy it. I think there is a solo mode where you play against this horrid neighbor or something. I read about it and it seemed quite fun. But either way, if I get a chance, I will get Suburbia. It was very, very fun. I think it won the Mensa Select Award a while back, which means you got to be a smarty pants to play it, I think. But very enjoyable game, very pretty, easy to teach, but again, very intricate to understand the best ways to score those points. So that's Suburbia, and of the new games I played in July and August, it is my third favorite. Thumbs up. So number 2 on the list, I think, is going to raise some eyebrows. I think you folks are going to be quite shocked that I've never played this game before, but it's true. I haven't. I actually stayed away from it. It is Dune Imperium. I've never played Dune Imperium. At a stage, I was going to make a video about games that are gaps within my board gaming knowledge, and Dune was one of them because there are so many. It scares me off. There are so many different Dunes. I still get confused about all the different Dune games, but I played Dune Imperium. So one reason it scared me off was there were so many. The second thing that scared me off, or that kept me at bay playing Dune, was the theme. I think I read the original Dune book back when I was much younger. I didn't understand it. I think I watched the old movie, not the current one, but the older Dune movie again. It wasn't for me. I watched the two newer Dune movies, quite enjoyed them. But the problem is I don't find space-themed board games to draw me in. The space theme isn't my favorite. And weirdly enough, I love space. Star Wars. I love Star Wars. This channel was nearly a Star Wars channel. But space within board games isn't my favorite. So, because the theme didn't draw me in, I never actually picked it up. Even though I had an opportunity to play it, I thought, come on, I've got to do it. I've got to get 10 games on this list. It needs to be a new game. Let me try it out. And I was very, very, very happily surprised. I do like it. It's a great game. The mechanics won me over. The theme didn't win me over, but the mechanics do. And I think that's the case with most folks. The theme draws me in, but the mechanics keep me there. You know, I stick around for the mechanics. So Dune Imperium is a deck builder game. You're trying to build this deck, and it's also a worker placement game. So you're on this planet Arrakis, and there are these guilds and these different societies. You're trying to make sure you have the best reputation with these different factions that allows you to get more points and more benefits. Very much tied to the books and movies, you are gaining water and spice, and there's also a battle, there's a conflict stage. You have to decide which approach you're going to go. Are you going to go and try and be friends with all the different factions and just get like up the popularity points? Or are you going to go and try and get enough resources that you can buy high points earning cards, which costs a lot? Or are you going to go more along the route of the battles? There's these battles that happen every so often at the end of a round. And are you going to build up a massive army and then win using combat, using war? Is that your way to fame? So there's different ways to play. Along with that, there is an asymmetrical aspect to the game as well. You get to choose a role, a character from a movie, and this character comes with its own special abilities. Some of them have a passive, and some of them have a special ability when you play a ring card. It gets to activate this ability. So depending on which character you choose, the best strategy for you might be already determined, but in no way are you forced to go down that route. You can go another route and subvert your opponent's expectations. It just might help if you go that route. I was very surprised. I wasn't expecting to love this game as much as I did. I had a great group of folks playing with me and teaching me the game, and they were very welcoming. I did terrible, which is to be expected. I didn't do great. I thought I was doing great, and then I didn't do great. Worker placement, as always, you can go to a spot. You can't go to a spot that an opponent is already at. Sometimes during war and conflict, an opponent might take ownership of an area, which means every time you go to this worker placement spot, they get a benefit out of that as well. The end game triggers when one of the players have reached 10 points. 10 points isn't a lot, which means you'll slowly start accumulating points. And once folks are around 6, 7, 8, they're starting to plan a big move to just get that victory, which is scary because it feels like the game just started. That being said, the game isn't short, but it does end quite quickly because folks know that if they take too long, someone else is going to do those big wombo combo and get 3 points in one go. Also, as the game goes on, the prizes for those conflicts that happen at the end of every round also increase. So all of a sudden, you might be doing a different strategy, but combat might become more viable to you later in the game because it has better prizes. Dune Imperium is a great game. Even if you're not a fan of Dune or the Dune franchise, I think you can get by that. Give it a shot. If you can give it a shot, please do. Let me know what you think. That is Dune Imperium. Thumbs up. And number one on the list, my most favorite game that is new to me in the last 2 months. It should be easy to guess. It's over there. Oh, it's over there. It is Turing Machine. So Turing Machine is a great game. I've been trying to find a copy for ages. It's got a whole bunch of awards. I think it's got the Dice Tower Award. It's the Golden Geek winner. Ooh. Anyway, very nice game. Very different sort of game as well. I would not put Turing Machine. I don't even know if I'd call it a board game. It has a board? No. Turing Machine is a very different sort of game. It is like playing a crossword and Sudoku in board game format. That's the best way I can describe it. You have to find a 3-digit number. And the way you find that is we put out these random verifiers, and the only one 3-digit number is going to be able to pass all of these verifiers.
Seems simple enough.
The problem is you don't have all the time in the world to figure this out. If you are playing opponents, your opponents are trying to beat you by using as little verified checks as possible. So they're trying to get the optimal route and trying to use process of elimination to figure out what this code is. If you're playing solo or cooperative, what you are doing is you're doing the exact same, but at the end of the game, there's an AI bot. Type in your code, how long you took, and what questions you asked, and it will tell you if you are smarter or less smarter than the AI bot. Now, I've played it many times. I've streamed it as well on the channel. If you are interested, please come check. I did not beat the bot, except once. I did beat the bot once, but I don't know. I felt like I took a lucky guess there. Turing Machine as well is one of the most crazy looking games. I don't understand how the designers got it to work. It's a whole bunch of punch cards. So what you do is you take your 3-digit number, each of them is a punch card with holes in it, and then you take a verifier answer sheet, which is a card with a whole bunch of crosses and ticks, and you line it up, and only one hole will be visible, and it will tell you if those 3 digits match the verifier you've chosen or not. How crazy is that? How do they make that work? I don't get it. But it is amazing and it's great. It comes with an app so you can create your own puzzle. You can share a puzzle with your friends or your family or your other players, or streaming. You can share, but you can do it together. There is also a daily game. So every day there'll be a new game. You can create your own. I don't think it's for everyone. It is a game that really split my board game meetup when I brought it, because it is such a unique game. It is a puzzle. It is not a board game in the regular sense. It is Sudoku or crossword or word search or something all rolled into one in board game format. You're trying to answer a question that's been laid out to you, given the hints available. It's similar, I guess, in that regard to the Exit the Game series, where both of them you're trying to solve a puzzle. I think the difference between the Exit series is the puzzle is more abstract. You have to kind of think outside the box to figure out what these cryptic clues mean, where in Turing Machine, it is very much a logic issue. You don't need to be good at maths. Maths help, but you don't need to be good at maths. You just need to be good, understand logic, greater than, less than, is the number even or odd. They're very similar, but I don't think they scratch the same itch. Anyway, I really do love Turing Machine. I really do love it. I had an unboxing for Turing Machine, but my laptop busted, so that's lost. We'll never see that again. If you are keen on checking it out, come check the streams. I'll do every so often and try and solve it with you. I'm sure you folks will be a great help if you try and solve it with me. And that's Turing Machine, my favorite new game of July and August, and I absolutely love it, as do most of the games on this list. So that's it. Those are my top 10 new games played within July and August. What do you guys think of this format? I really tried to get something that wouldn't be too boring for you folks. I wanted to do the most played games, but I know there will be the same usual suspects rolling up again and again and again, because those are my favorite games. Those are the games I want to play. So I thought this way, it forces me to play games that I haven't played before, instead of just always picking the same old ones. And then it's also enjoyable for you folks to see something new every time, rather than the same old hullabaloo. I'll see how well this video is received, and then I'll decide if I want to do another one of them maybe in 2 months' time. I can't just do it every month because I don't play that many new board games. I need to wait until I have at least a pool of them so I can rank them nicely. But I'm rambling again. This has been Birds on Board, your home of board gaming excellence. What do you think about the list? Are there any games there that you think should be higher on the list or lower on the list? What about those honorable mentions? Do you think those are worth your time or not? What games should I try out? Are there any there that you think are missing and I should go try out ASAP right now? Go try Pigeon. Let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also hit that little bell icon, and that will let you know when I go and stream that you can come and say hi, and I will love you for it. I'll give you 2 kisses. Please come watch the streams. I've been Pigeon. Again, this has been Birds on Board. May the dice rolls forever be in your favor, and happy gaming, folks. All the best, eh? Cheers, cheers.